Yesterday, late in the night, the Daily Beast revealed some suspicious information about Matt Gaetz. So I'm gonna start reading these graphics, and Cenk and Helen, feel free to let me know when you think that this has become a bit shady. So we know that Matt Gaetz was involved with this individual, Joel Greenberg, who's in a ton of his own legal trouble, that they had worked together on things from fake IDs to possibly trafficking. So in two late night Venmo transactions back in May of 2018, Representative Matt Gaetz sent his friend, the accused sex trafficker Joel Greenberg, $900. The next morning, over the course of 8 minutes, Greenberg used the same app to send 3 young women varying sums of money. In total, the transactions amounted to $900.
Ding, ding, ding,
shady, shady, shady.
You've got a loser.
That would be bad if there were no more details, but unfortunately for the congressman, there are more details. The memo field for the first of these transactions to Greenberg was titled test. In the second, the Florida GOP congressman wrote hit up blank, but instead of a blank, Gaetz wrote a nickname for one of the recipients, as if it wasn't going to be clear enough. When Greenberg then made his Venmo payments to these 3 young women, he described the money as being for tuition, school, and school.
Oh, so gross.
If you're paying underage girls for sex, don't write school in the note.
Yeah, I mean, would it have been worse if he was like ring pops and hot topic? Like that's the only way it could have been skeezier than it was.
Yeah, or come get a lollipop. I don't know. Like it's just.
Hey, little girl. Hey, little girl, get in the van.
Yeah, van might have been the only thing worse for the note in that Venmo transaction. Look, just to be clear, one of the girls was 17 years old, and in the original allegations against Matt Gaetz and Greenberg, and according to federal statutes, if you're interacting and transacting and traveling with someone under the age of 18, then you're in a lot of federal trouble here. And of course,
Cenk,
if you have sex. Yeah.
So if he paid Greenberg and Greenberg paid them, I'm not a lawyer. That doesn't seem as if that would be enough to distance yourself. It seems like sex trafficking with a side dish of money laundering, kind of. But would that provide any shield whatsoever? The fact that, let's say that one of these women was underage, or let's say that it was for sex, which it appears it probably was. Since he didn't do it, this guy Greenberg technically did it. Would that protect him?
No, not at all. Look, the defense will try to make things as obscure as possible and as vague and obtuse as possible, so that the jury gets confused, so they could use it in trial to try to confuse people. But legally, no, it makes no difference at all. People pay the madam all the time. You can't say, "Oh, I paid the madam and she paid the girl."
Yeah,
no, that's not a thing.
If I hire you as a hitman to knock off Cenk, and then you kill him because I paid you, I'm not getting off scot-free because I didn't pull the trigger. You know?
Yeah.
100%.
We'll pay a little extra, and I'll definitely protect you.
Yeah, but in this case, it's not just, hey, it's transitive property and it's obvious. It is very standard practice to pay someone first, to pay a pimp, to pay a madam, to pay the host at the spa. So to say that no, I paid someone else first is absurd, and so legally it has no weight at all. No, he's in a world of trouble. Look, the fact that it's someone, at least one person potentially underage, is what makes the story so explosive. And the Greenberg, it looks like, I mean, was running up the state credit card on this stuff. I mean, they're both insane, right?
$300,000.
Yeah,
that's what we're seeing here.
That's a lot of ring pops.
Yeah, and that's why they got caught, by the way, because an auditor was like, wait, why is this random state employee constantly charging up really expensive hotels on the weekends? And then like there's like school and tuition, whatever, like all these insane things. The school and tuition is on his Venmo, to be fair. But in the credit card transactions, he barely tried to conceal it. So they wound up doing a forensic audit. And in the audit, they discovered, this ain't good. Okay, so they catch Greenberg, then they find out Greenberg's getting money from Gaetz, and then they're writing cutesy notes to each other about these incredibly young girls they're apparently paying for sex with. And look, it looks like and Gates seemed to have tried to conceal it by saying, well, look, I'm just paying for hotels and dinners. Anybody could pay for a hotel and dinner on a date. That's certainly true. And again, they would try to confuse the jury with that at trial if it goes to trial. But first of all, it appears they're paying the girls on top. That's just flat out prostitution, right? And second of all, even if they didn't pay the girls, but they paid for their dinners and their hotel rooms, and they're underage, it still trips up a federal law. And so he would still be culpable. And so he can get 10 years. I mean, I know rich people and powerful people in this country never go to jail. But if there was any kind of equality in the law, he'd be facing a very serious prison time here, prison sentence.
I just can't believe how much there is for these prosecutors. It's like, you know that saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. If there's Venmo receipts for sex trafficking, there's sex trafficking, right? Can we just?
Yeah. I mean, they wrote it in the receipts. Apparently they wrote her name or the name she goes by. I mean, how much clearer could it be? Here's $300 for Susie, and then you have sex with Susie. That's not complicated.
I just let this be a PSA to our listeners. Always go private on your Venmo transactions, kids, because when I pay for shady stuff, I'm always like, it's the first thing I click, private.
Yeah.
And look,
I don't know if this is going to be controversial, but if they weren't underage or near underage, and Matt, you're 38. What is this Gates guy doing? You're 38, and what are you doing with 17 and 18-year-olds and paying for it, et cetera? And the answer is he can't help himself, and there's more answers. He's probably inclined in the young direction, which is gross, and he's doing drugs with them, and he probably, since he's a conservative, he probably thinks, no, for any woman I date, she has to be virginal and pure and stuff. But if I want to have fun, then I'm gonna have to pay for a prostitute, et cetera. So all this stuff, but all of it wouldn't be an issue if they weren't this young, because if he was doing this with other 38-year-olds, 28-year-olds, yeah, and the guy who used a state credit card should get arrested. But I'd say, hey man, that's not our business. But when you go to 17-year-olds, you're in a lot of trouble, and you should be.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to give them a chance to respond. I will also throw out there that we're going to turn to how someone might be cooperating with the investigation. But also, I mean, I would have to assume that if they have the Venmo transactions from Matt Gaetz to Greenberg and Greenberg to the women, then they know who the women are. And I assume that they're talking to the women. So none of this is looking good for Matt Gaetz at this point. In any event, Gaetz's congressional office declined to comment directly to the Daily Beast story. Instead, a representative from an outside public relations firm, the Logan Circle Group, responded with this statement from Gaetz, quote, "The rumors, gossip, and self-serving misstatements of others will be addressed in due course by my legal team," which is a very mid-high vocabulary non-response to the bombshell that was just revealed. That has nothing to do with the Venmo. In any event, Logan Circle's Erin Elmore, a pro-Trump pundit and former contestant on The Apprentice, added, because of course she's been on The Apprentice, added that a lawyer would be, quote, closely monitoring your coverage. Also CC'd on the email was another Logan Circle Group employee, Harlan Hill, who was banned from Fox News after calling now Vice President Kamala Harris an insufferable lying bitch.
Wow, and this is your PR team? This is your PR team?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So again, one more point here that's important to the essence of the story. Gaetz is claiming two main defenses because he doesn't deny being with the women and having relations with the women. He says one of them that was 17, he says, I didn't sleep with a 17-year-old. Now, I don't know what that means, and it's given Matt Gaetz's history with truth, I'm looking forward to the trial to see who's right and wrong about that, right? But the second defense was I never paid for sex. But when you have Venmo receipts saying I am paying for this particular woman, That's pretty bad. Now, he didn't say I'm paying for it. John read you the exact quote, but he wrote her name in the receipt. That is so monumentally stupid. You should go to jail for being that dumb, let alone what he did. But yeah, Helen, go ahead.
Should go to jail for, like, is he expecting us to believe, like, I took him out to dinner because I enjoyed their company. Because that's what 17-year-olds, it's just, they just offer such great, compelling discourse. Because that's what you do with 17-year-olds when you're 40 is like, oh, we were just chatting. We were having a melding of the minds. It's like, nah, dude, I don't think so.
Yeah, I got married at 38. I would have been looking over my shoulder if I was just having dinner with a 17-year-old family friend. Like, does this looks weird, right? Somebody else sit here with me, right? This is crazy, right? He's having dinner with them. He's going to hotels. Yeah, if it's just you and a 17-year-old, that looks weird, right?
What if it's you, a 17-year-old, and Tucker Carlson? Is that better or worse?
Which is, of course, what he said in his first interview, where Tucker Carlson was like, "What? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you bringing me in?"
When I was 24, I was dating a guy who was 12 years older than me, and even that looked a little shady. We looked, I mean, granted, I'm Asian, so I looked 17 at the time, even though I was 24. But like even that is shady. But 17 and 38, come on, it's gross. It's freaking gross.
And look, last thing I'll say on it is that to me, the age difference isn't that impertinent. The only thing is she's 17. That's gigantic. You can't, it's beyond, it's illegal, it's obvious, it's gross, it's all of that stuff, right? So I don't know what you guys think. I'll just ask real quick, Helen. If it was like, pick another guy we don't like, Louis Gohmert, and he's with a 28-year-old, and he's doing ecstasy and paying her through Venmo. I don't think I care. Do you care?
I don't care, except for the fact that these guys are always the freaking holier than thou. It's always the preachiest ones, right? That are so freaky. And like, I read something recently that said more GOP lawmakers have been arrested for bathroom misconduct than trans people have.
That's so true.
And it's so true. It's always like these guys who are like, come on, they're so preachy, they're so holier than thou. They're coming across like we are the party of the family values, and it's like, get the GTFO. Like, I mean, shut up. They're so hypocritical. They're out there doing disgusting things. And it's like, that's fine if you want to do disgusting things, but don't pretend like you're like some holy Christian or anything.
Sure. Yeah, and I think like we've said multiple, first of all, we give a million caveats that we don't know what he did, if he did anything. But also, I mean, we've personally said, like, there are people on this network that believe that sex work should be legalized and, like the women should be protected and everything. But if people want to do that, they should be able to do that. That would be one thing. That is not what is legal. That isn't anything that I've seen him advocate for. And on top of that, they might have been underage and not able to consent in the first place. Now that said, we do have a bit of breaking news. The House Ethics Committee has announced they will be launching an investigation into Matt Gaetz following all of what we've been talking about throughout this week. So now 2 investigations facing him. I don't know if we would necessarily assume that this one is likely to move more quickly than the current DOJ investigation, or if they'd have access to any information that the DOJ would not, but it's just another development on top of many this week that have not been probably from the point of view of Matt Gaetz and his best interests.
Yeah, look, Katie Hill, who I'm not a giant fan of, resigned because the Democratic Party said you can't do this type of thing. And now she was not with anyone who was underage. She was with staffers, etc. The idea that the Republicans would ask him to resign seems hilarious, right? Like, forget him actually resigning. I don't know that a single, actually one Republican, Kissinger, I think, said he should step down. The idea that Republican leadership would come in and go, oh my God, sex with underage girls. That's what all of our voters are accusing the Democratic leadership of doing, with no evidence, in a basement of a pizza shop. That's so embarrassing that one of our own, and in fact someone who's very prominent in the Republican Party, is doing that, especially after our former president used to hang out with, hug and kiss the worst child molester in American history, Jeffrey Epstein, and especially after his girlfriend was arrested and he wished her well on 2 different occasions. We all look like child molesters. My God, maybe we should have Matt Gaetz step down. Now that you would think in a rational political world is the direction they would go, but the GOP has basically said, no, we're all in on monster. So we don't ask other monsters to step down because that's who we are.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.